take a moment to thank our sponsor, CatchMark Technologies. If you're looking for technical support, structured cabling, cybersecurity, or digital marketing, they're your go-to team. With tons of experience, they will guide you through all of your technical problems. Reach out to them at catchmarkit.com. Today, I'm here with Erik Sanford, First Tee. Tell me a little bit about what you do. And now that we're going to the spring, things are starting to ramp up.
Yeah, so I've been the area director here in Muskegon since 2019, and wow, have things changed. It's we started out with the hub being in Muskegon and serving Muskegon County, but now we're up into Oceana and Newaygo County as well. Served over 450 students last year, and we can continue to grow. I mean, the program's just vast, and from outdoor 6-week programming to going inside and working indoors with school partnerships across all 3 of those counties. With direct lessons that our PGA professionals are working with our scholarship kids on. It's honestly, Connor, it's just so much different than it was when I started in 2019. And it's good. Growth is great, right? But it's a busy time. It's a busy time.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started the job, it was kind of like November to March was kind of the downtime, and there's just no downtime anymore. We serve more kids now than we ever have, and we don't lose touch with kids. Programs used to shut off in October, and now they're throughout the winter, so the relationships stay strong, and the engagement part of it is a big piece for us.
What do you guys? You mentioned now that you hadn't been doing stuff in the winter prior, but now you are. What is some of that stuff you're doing in the winter?
Yeah, so we have what's called a homework and hitting program, and the fundamental concept around it is some small academic support, but more of a golf fundamental piece where we can really get into the nuts and bolts of some kids that regularly come, and the retention rates are high, and kids that come back season after season really work on their golf swings and fine tune them quite to the point where they're very successful.
Yeah, and it's cool because like when I was in school, we really only had like the White Lake Junior program that we played in, and then now after graduating it feels like a couple years ago, but it wasn't, a little while ago, and being able to look back and say, oh, this is a sweet program now that these kids have. And I think it's also helped, especially the high school golf programs in the area, especially the girls programs. There's been an explosion in an exponential growth in girls programs around the state. When I was a freshman, I think we had just really started our girls program, and other schools, the girls were still playing with the boys during the spring. So it's just crazy to see it now. Almost every school in the conference has a girls team, which is huge. And I think that partially what you guys do is help that quite a bit.
Yeah, one of the biggest pieces for us is, kind of that gender dynamic. And I can remember when we first started, it was more like 80-20 of males to females. And now we're at upper 50s to mid 40s in the percentages that we serve with females and males in comparison. So, girls have expressed more interest. We've offered more programs around the females, like having a female coach and then offering a female class, and our junior mentor program, junior mentor initiative program that we employ kids that are 14 plus through our program it's been robust for us with girls. They've really loved to become part of the program, and it could be kids that were part of the program previously, or even kids that are just good role models in the community that we've hired and said, hey, we want them to be part of our program. So
how has I think just in general golf has kind of exploded over the last 5-6 years from early when Tiger was around and those big names. It was huge then, and then it kind of dipped off for a little bit, and then now it's coming back. I mean, how much just change in the golf industry and the sport in general have you seen through the last couple of years?
Well, I think the biggest piece for what we see is just the overall lack of accessibility. Is we have great relationships with our golf courses, but in general, there's just more people on the golf course. Tee time after tee time after tee time, and and we see it because we're members at golf courses that have ranges, right? But those ranges are even full. I mean,
Yeah,
guys are just beating golf balls time after time, you know.
it's crazy. Like I remember when I was a kid, obviously we had a membership out at White Lake, and for those who don't know, it's a golf course. It's a private golf course over on kind of the opposite side of the lake here in Whitehall, and a really nice course. But I remember when I was a kid, there was like nobody out there for the most part during the day and like even late evenings, other than league occasionally. And now you go out there and you're struggling to find a tee time on a Saturday morning. And it's the same out at Oceana, which is up north a little bit. Like, it's crazy.
Well, and I'm also a member at Lincoln as well. And it's just, it's really, it's difficult unless you have on Tuesday nights, unless you play in the gang some, or if you have a certain group on the weekends that you play with, it's difficult to find a tee time to have opportunity to play. It's just the game is just, again, it's robust and it's cool again, right?
Yeah.
Like it's your dad and I went through a phase when we were growing up where golf was really cool, and now it's cool again, and so it's nice to see.
At this moment, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Chris Wank, Century 21 First Class Realty. Looking to sell or purchase a new home, or perhaps invest in a plot of land? Chris Wank with Century 21 First Class Realty is your go-to expert. As a leader in West Michigan real estate, Chris brings unparalleled knowledge and dedication to every transaction. Don't wait. Call Chris Wank today at 616-414-5420 and take the first step towards your real estate dreams. Century 21 First Class Realty, your trusted partner in West Michigan property.
Yeah, it is. And I think the other thing, too, is over the years, it's become more accessible overall. I think that period of, I would say probably 2010 to 2019, 2018, people always just saw like, oh, there's a new club. It costs $500 or $400. But now you can go and get a really nice set of clubs for a whole set for $500, and that's even a nice used set. Sure. You can get cheap used sets at Goodwill that are really nice and in great condition for, $25,
right?
And play. And you can even go on YouTube now and see people who have gone in and they do used golf challenge, and you go in there and they buy a used golf set for $300, $200, and they go out and play, and it's crazy. And I think that's helped a lot, especially the high school age, get into it and make it a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, well, and you think about that as well as, just simple things like Facebook Marketplace and eBay and things. I mean, guys are just selling clubs just constantly on those platforms.
Yeah.
It, like I said, it's just a lot easier to like you said, buying a set of clubs, from a private citizen, where in the old days we were always, you were going to a Golf Galaxy or, when I grew up, we had the golf place in Muskegon off Laketon, and that was where everybody went to buy their clubs. And, it's just, there's just so many different avenues to purchase clubs nowadays.
Yeah, and it makes it easier for people who are just trying to get into it.
Yeah.
How have you seen kind of your programs grow in the winter now with the stuff you're doing? Like, how much have they grown?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at about a 25 to 35% clip increase in their winter programs. Mm-hmm. We were generally serving in the low to mid 300s, and not, like I said, now in just our Muskegon hub, we're serving 450 kids. And again, I think the piece of that is kids want to stay engaged all year long instead of just during our green grass facilities. Our spring, our summer, and our fall. I do some stuff at the VAC, and I think for us too is so many of the school districts for us have been so welcoming. I just got back from Hesperia, and they have a project focus group where I go right into their gym after school. They have an early release day on Wednesdays. Yeah. And so we go in there and we work with, it's a group of 15 kids, and, kids that ordinarily wouldn't get a chance to learn about the game are now getting access at a really young age. And so I was talking to the golf coach up there, and he's like, it's a developmental piece, right? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's not so much focusing on the fundamentals, but just getting them swinging and the motion around that.
Yeah.
Get them to experience a little bit.
Yeah. I think what you guys do really well, and I think what you guys take the place of almost, is a lot of the youth programs for these smaller schools. So I'm talking, like a Shelby or Hesperia
Sure.
who don't have the money to be able to flood into these youth programs where somebody like GRCC or some of those big Grand Rapids schools can. They can afford to fund these big programs, whereas Montague and some of these other schools don't have the facilities or the finances to be able to do that.
Right.
And you guys do that for them. And I think that's part of the reason why it's exploded so much, especially here, is because it's just allowing more kids to get into it. And then as they get older, because they're not starting in high school, they're now starting in middle school or even elementary school. They're so much more developed by the time they get to high school, and it becomes so much more competitive. And then when it's more competitive, more people want to play because it's hard to win, right? And people love winning. So
yeah, and you think about that, and we heard that for years. We heard coaches come to us, where kids were just picking up a club at like 8th grade.
yeah.
And unfortunately, really, let's be transparent. It's too late.
Yeah,
It's really too
it
late
is. I mean,
to be successful.
Even a lot of the most successful golfers I know have been playing since they were, even before they started school, right? And even I'm not the most successful golfer, but in high school I was a okay golfer.
Sure.
And I started playing in 5 years old, 6 years old, somewhat consistently, and. So I had that motion, and then now you're getting in high school. It's really just, hey, you need to do this, or you need to change this, or you need to adjust this. It's adjusting dials versus building something.
Sure.
Building the platform, right?
Sure.
And I think it helps so much. And it explodes the programs around here.
Well, and I think the other piece of it for us too that fits our niche is the level of affordability, right? So all of these school districts that we're going to, we're providing that service to them, that resource to them for absolutely free. And there's other ways, and you've been part of a lot of them, from a fundraising perspective. That's how we defray some of those costs, right? Is we have our golf marathons and, our winter fundraiser at Under Par and our golf outing at Muskegon Country Club. But when it boils down to it, we don't want the obstacle or the barrier to be a financial burden for families for their children to not come out and be part of the program.
Yeah. So tell me, you mentioned those fundraisers. Tell me a little bit about some of the big ones. I know obviously you guys got the marathon and the winter one.
Yeah.
Tell me about kind of those programs.
Yeah, so the winter fundraiser is kind of we have that at Under Par. It's a 2-person scramble. It's actually coming up on March the 15th. We have an AM and a PM shotgun, and it's just kind of the last 3 or 4 years. It's been just a good kickoff for us to kind of get the season rolling and put a few dollars in our pocket, but also.
Let's take another moment to thank our sponsor, Shoreline Restoration and Construction. Did a storm recently hit your business, home, or other building? Then Shoreline Restoration and Construction can help. They are a leader in remodels, new construction, and much, much more. They also restore water-damaged buildings, flooded basement, and so much more.
For us is to see the camaraderie in the group. I mean, you played in it.
It's a ton of fun.
It's a cool.
It's cool because it's on for those who don't know, it's on Golf Sims, which is kind of what Under Par is. It's a hub of bunch of golf simulators, nice golf simulators, and it's kind of just you go in there and because you're so close. It's something that in normal, like being outside, you can't get as much. You can go talk to your friends and you can do all that while you're playing, but for some people we're separated by a cart, or it's really just your cart mate, right? Whereas in here you're in a simulator with 2 other guys or gals and playing, and so you're the whole time you're chatting. You might be talking a little trash and having fun and stuff. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, like you guys. I mean, you guys come down as a family sometime, or some of the work colleagues here, which is fantastic, and that's what we're really trying to promote with that event is, just that relationship piece. And Under Par's been a phenomenal sponsor for us and a working partner for us ever since they've been in our existence. So we continue to go back. The golf marathon is really our biggest.
Yep, I play in that thing every year.
Yeah. It's really our biggest one. It provides about 50% of our overall revenue for our program, and in Muskegon, Oceanside, we have 6 now. We have 6 golf marathons. So
I'll be in the one this year.
Yeah, White Lake, Benona, Lincoln, Pilgrims Run, Water's Edge, Muskegon Country Club. I mean, they're all fantastic for us, and honestly, kind of like in it. And I'm sure you can relate, but guys look forward to it.
I do every year. I always look at it as for those who don't know, you try and play 100 holes, and people can donate if you make however many pars or birdies or whatever. I always try my best to play. I always play 100. I played all 100 both years I've played in it. Gonna do it again this year. But I always divide it into like 5 or 6 18-hole rounds, right? And trying to like I play each one like I would normally. Maybe with a little bit longer games just so you can get going.
Right.
But like the first year, it was pouring rain. I remember that. It poured rain all day. And so we were just soaked. And I remember playing and just having a ton of fun because playing in the rain, you don't do it a lot.
Right.
And it wasn't cold because it's end of May. It was beginning of June. But it was a ton of fun just to go out there and, you're playing in the rain. My dad left for like at maybe the halfway point, I would say. And then my brother came in for the other half. So I played all 100, and then Owen and Dad came in for those 2 portions. But I played Dad two rounds back to back, and then I flipped over and played Owen for 2 rounds back to back. It was just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And then we did like last year, Dad and I played 5 rounds, and then Owen came in for the last 2, and we just played straight up. And I think we got done at like 7, but it was a ton of fun. It's 14 hours of golf. A lot of people think that's exhausting. I was tired.
Sure.
But like it's just golf. It's having fun, right?
Well, and I think the other piece too for us is it's a request one day a year that we make of the players, right?
Yeah.
And again, you've set the bar high and want to play and continue to play. And some of the guys have said, hey, we're not going to play 100 holes anymore. That's perfectly fine. Like,
yeah.
There's a fundraising piece to it, and there's a dynamic to that. But in the next breath, it's like, hey, if you make it your day, right?
Yeah.
If that's 54 holes or 72 holes, or you're playing a match within a match with a threesome or a twosome,
yeah.
And there's a few dollars exchanged, so be it. Like, that's what we want.
Yeah, it's for fun more than anything.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, to help First Tee, develop and really grow those programs. So you said 6 of them this year?
6 of them.
Hopefully there's no rainy days.
Well, you know what? Knock on wood. I got through my first 5 years, actually my first 4 years, without any rain. And last year it
didn't rain on us last year for White Lake, but it did the year before.
Yeah.
And it didn't just rain, it poured.
Yeah.
Like I remember driving up to the pavilion at White Lake and being like, getting lunch, and it was just like we got lunch and pulled in the cart and it was soaked. I was like, oh my, what is going on out here?
Well,
but it's just fun.
It's kind of interesting because the year that it rained was the year that I had asked your dad to do the video.
Yeah.
And I remember him in the video. He was waking up, and then you guys were putting the clubs in the car, and it was starting to sprinkle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know.
It was so much fun though, especially because it wasn't like, at least it wasn't freezing. Because if it was freezing, then we would have had a problem because it would have been so cold. But it was definitely wet, but that's more fun in my opinion. Like it makes it more challenging. You don't hit the ball as far. You're trying to hold on to your club, like trying not to throw your club by accident swinging. I remember I swung, and I played last year in one of a pretty rainy day out at Hickory Knoll, and I was playing with my coworker, and I went like this and took a swing, and my 3-wood just went out and flew out of my hands. Well, he's down swinging, and then it like flew and landed like 2 feet from him behind him. Like when it rains and you're playing, it's some of the funniest moments. But so what's next for First Tee? What do you guys got coming up?
Well, for us, it's kind of a switch in gear, especially for me. My role's kind of changed a lot since I started as an area director. McKenna Inglis is my program coordinator in Muskegon, and she handles a majority of the programming aspect of First Tee in Muskegon as of right now. And my efforts will be geared towards more of the fundraising piece.
At this moment, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Green Ridge Realty. Looking to buy, sell, or finance property in West Michigan? Look no further. Chris Dykman and Sarah Real, the trusted names in West Michigan real estate, are here to guide you every step of the way. With years of experience and deep understanding of the local market, they make your real estate dreams a reality. Visit Green Ridge Realty at 323 East Cobley Street, Whitehall, and let the experts take care of you. Ready to make your move? Contact Green Ridge Realty today.
The event here in a couple weeks, and then all the golf marathons, and I've got something on the horizon coming up. You'll see.
Oh.
I got something on the horizon. I don't want to spread word on this totally yet, but we've got an event that we're working on right now. It's basically going to be a hole-in-one shootout.
Oh,
And,
that sounds fun.
Yeah, and I broadcasted a little bit of it, Connor, but I don't have all the details yet. We're looking at a date. We're probably going to look at a date a little bit later in the season than we previously anticipated, just because the marathons, they take.
I mean, it's all day.
May and June are kind of they're convoluted, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, so we need to make sure that we're not. The marathon's different for us too, because sometimes that's the only time we see people, and we appreciate that. They go out and they raise thousands and thousands of dollars for us, but the last thing we want to do is for that to be a deterrent in broadcasting other events. So I need to be strategic around how I conduct this new event, but some of the other chapters out west have been doing it for a while and fundraising a lot of money, and there's also some different incentives than what the typical marathon would have. There might be some hole-in-one prize, or excuse me, close to the pin prizes, and that would be a little bit different than
Here's an
typically we
idea.
have done.
Got an idea.
Yeah.
Just on.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You should do a harvest hole-in-one.
Harvest hole-in-one.
Yeah, and do it in September or something, and when it's a little warm, because you don't want it to be cold.
No.
And then do like a pumpkin on the green, and you got to putt to the pumpkin, and you get like some bonus if you hit it. But it's a small one. It's like this big.
Yeah.
And do something like that. That could be fun.
The one thing that I'm really trying to focus on with this event is I want to alleviate any pace of play issues. So I want this to be. So the premise around the event out west at some of the chapters out west is that you hit your shot, you hit your tee shot, and then it's pick up your ball and go to the next tee, because it's all par threes.
Yeah.
And so I've sat in a bunch of meetings about it, and it's like a 2.5 hour event, because that's one of the common themes that we hear a lot too is golf takes so dang long, like it's a 5 hour round, or you go out and play in some of these events and it takes 6 hours to play. I'm going to try to create something that somebody can't come back and go, it took too long.
Yeah.
So, you got to be innovative. You got to be creative.
Got to come up with those ideas
as much as anybody. Right?
Got to be the ideas guy.
You got to be the ideas guy.
At this moment, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Park Place Sports. Want to support your local athletics program? Look no further than Park Place Sports. As a leader in banner and sponsorship program for athletes, they provide top-notch services to help your team shine. Visit their Facebook page, Park Place Sports, LLC, and see how they can elevate your athletic program today. Park Place Sports, your partner in athletic excellence.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So kind of explain to me I know what First Tee is, right. And kind of the backbone behind it, because a lot of people see First Tee West Michigan.
Sure.
That's just one chapter.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about the whole kind of nation, international kind of.
So we're an international organization, youth development, introduction to golf for young people, 7 to 17. But most importantly, the kids are learning life skills and life values through the game, that not only the things that they're learning on the golf course, but they're able to apply to everyday life.
Yeah.
And so, honesty, respect, integrity, and now we've got our 5 key commitments of pursuing a goal and working well with others, collaborating with others, and building positive self-identity. Things that you can learn on the golf course that you can use in everyday business world. Our focus again is, and this is kind of a slogan, but we're trying to build good golfers, but even better people, right? Like ultimately,
you got to get that right there.
That's what it's about for us. And I really take great pride in that. I want our kids to be better people before they're the next Tiger Woods. But golf is so relationship based.
Definitely.
You think about that. You think about all the people that you met on the golf course. And you played sports. You played all sports, right? But golf is different in how specifically those relationships are maintained. I mean, you can play golf with your buddies for the rest of your life.
Yeah, basically,
As long
that's
as
what I
you're
was
still
gonna
kicking,
say.
right?
Yeah.
As long as you're still kicking.
I mean, even if you can't walk, like you find you got ways to do it now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, that's so that leads me kind of into my next question. What does success look like for you?
you know, we kind of have a what we call like a three-legged stool at First Tee. Or I'm kind of focused on fundraising, programming, and volunteers is kind of the third leg of that. And we've been great. Where we kind of struggled at the last few years is fundraising hasn't necessarily peaked with some of the programming development that we've made. I mean, our programs, we've served more kids than we've ever served, and we're starting to see more volunteers come out and be part of the program. And for us, it's the impact, right? It's the impact that we're having with these kids, and it's the kids it's retention, right? It's the kids it's not just the kid that comes out one time and we never see him again. That's going to happen, but it's the kids that keep coming back over and over and over. And we're, especially here in White Lake, we see that a lot.
Quick break from the action to thank our sponsor. Meraki Performance is a leader in performance coaching. Whether you're looking to motivate your business or your athletic team, Meraki Performance can help. Check them out at merakiperform.com. Yeah.
Between Whitehall and Montague, and we have a new partnership at Reese Puffer that started last year, and it served like 60 to 70 kids. Matt Pallett's been the golf coach down there, has been phenomenal with coordinating some of that, and we had it out at Lincoln, and we'll look at some day camps this year. But I think success for us is just making sure that we're having impact with our kids, and that could be from a variety of things. And it's not just the golf course too, right? Like it's supporting kids, even some in their other extracurricular activities. I know McKenna likes and goes and watches some of the girls play basketball, and I love to do that. I'm still really involved here in Whitehall in the community, and go Vikes. But like
got a big game tonight.
Yeah, I got a big game tonight. Like it's important to me. It's important to me that the kids that are part of our program, either through the game, playing the game on the team at Whitehall, or even as a junior mentor for us, that we go support them in other ways.
Yeah.
I take really great pride in that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you mentioned huge Whitehall fan. Big game tonight against Spring Lake. They're they saw them once before this year, but Spring Lake's a different breed.
It certainly is, Connor. And Spring Lake's given Whitehall a hard time.
Yeah.
Historically, over the years, they're pesky. They're going to play. They're well coached. Bill Core's a good coach, and I think some people would say Spring Lake might be a little down this year.
Yeah.
And Whitehall's is going to win by 15 or 20, but you can't overlook Spring Lake. You really can't. Honestly, like it's they just have. And watching some of those districts over the last few years, especially last year, is just Whitehall they just need to be ready to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the answer, right? As long as they're ready to play, they should win this one.
Yeah.
I think is kind of, what's your prediction for tonight?
I would say 71-59 Whitehall.
That's about what the first game was, I think, that they played. They played earlier this season. And then on the other side of the bracket, Fruitport Oak Ridge. Yeah. Fruitport actually won their first ever, I did not know this, first ever conference title this year, and first ever OK Silver conference title, because they just switched conferences last year. So what's your prediction over there Oak Ridge was, I think, second or third in the WMC this year, and with their only losses, I think, coming really from Ludington and Whitehall. And they beat Fruitport earlier this year by 3. So what's your guesstimate on that side of the bracket?
Well, that's kind of interesting, too, that Oak Ridge, I guess regardless of how it works out, I know Fruitport's really improved. And they've got either a freshman or a sophomore that's a really nice player.
Freshman.
Yep. That's a really nice player. And similar to you, I just had, over the last few weeks, have started to read a little bit about them. So good for them. But, Oak Ridge is also another basketball team that's given Whitehall some problems.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 5-point game, 6-point game the last time they played, which was earlier towards the end of the season. And then earlier in the season at Oak Ridge, the score didn't indicate how close it was, I feel like. I would say that Oak Ridge played really well for 3.5 quarters, 2.5 quarters.
Sure.
And then that little stretch in the third quarter was what killed them, right?
Yeah, if I remember the game, I mean, Whitehall had a couple turnovers that turned into fast break points, and the next thing you know, you turn a 4-point game into a 12-point game, and
Yep.
it looks a little bit different. But they're pesky too. I mean, Peyton Rule's he's a good ball player. And, they're gonna whoever it is, it looks like either Fruitport or Oak Ridge. Again, Whitehall has a lot of talent on that basketball team. It's whatever team shows up, honestly.
I would agree.
I've seen them play where they look like they can beat a bunch of Division I teams, and then there's other times where they're just kind of flat, and I hope we don't see that. I hope we don't.
So who do you think is going to win the game tonight with Fruitport? Oak Ridge?
I would say based on the level of competition, I would say Fruitport probably wins that game.
Score?
Yeah, I'm going to say
3-point ball game?
I'm going to say like 64-60.
Yeah.
64.
When I was talking to our intern Miles, and we were kind of talking about it, I'm happy for whoever wins. They're all in our coverage area. I want to see whoever wins, but my guess was Oak Ridge on a buzzer beater from Peyton, 71-69.
Nice.
And they were down 3, hit a buzzer beater. That was my guess, but it could go either way. I think it could be. It's going to be a great game. I think it could go either way. Really, SportsNet will be there to cover it. So you already know.
Well, you guys do a great job of that.
Yeah, well,
that's one of the cool things about CatchMark is just the local. And it kind of brings me back to like when you started this vision. I can remember waking up on Saturday mornings and couldn't get to the door quick enough to read the Muskegon Chronicle with.
Yeah.
If it was basketball season or football season or even golf was huge to be. They published so many different stories about golf when we were growing up, West Michigan Conference and things of that nature. But you guys have done I love just catching up on.
I appreciate
watching some of your interviews with the kids and coaches.
Yeah.
It's like the old days with Tom Kendra and Mike Mack.
Yeah,
and those
yeah,
guys.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. This was a phenomenal episode. I love what First Tee does. Excited to support them again this year. I think it's going to be a ton of fun at the marathon and all your guys' events. If you don't know what First Tee is, for the viewers, go take a look at them. The stuff they do is just amazing, and they help youth in a way that I think a lot of other programs could take a note of a little bit. And again, appreciate you coming on. Excellent episode.
Thanks.
Excited to see where the season goes.
All right. Appreciate it, Connor.
Thanks.